As the Israeli offensive on Gaza enters its 19th day, the death toll reaches 870 in the Palestinian territory. Hello, I'm Hazem Seeker. Welcome to Al Jazeera's news center in Doha. The other top stories. Displaced by fighting, nearly 250,000 people have been forced from their homes in Ukraine.
Children to repatriation to their home country.
And Barack Obama urges Central American leaders to help slow the influx of young migrants into the U.S. A 12-hour truce is to come into force between Israel and Hamas in a couple of hours. That will be 8 a.m. in Gaza, which is 5 GMT. But Israel's cabinet has rejected the terms of a longer-lasting ceasefire championed by the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry. 870 Palestinians have been killed since Israel's offensive on Gaza began 19 days ago, and more than 5,700 have been injured. The rising death toll has fueled anger in the occupied West Bank. 9 Palestinians there were killed as protesters called Friday a day of rage. Diplomatic efforts on a longer ceasefire will continue in Paris. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry says there's still differences on terminology. James Bays has more now from occupied East Jerusalem.
When John Kerry addressed reporters to explain why his 7-day ceasefire plan couldn't be agreed, he was asked whether the Israeli government had voted against the proposals. This was his response.
There was no formal proposal or final proposal or proposal ready to vote submitted to Israel. Let's make that absolutely crystal clear. Prime Minister Netanyahu called me a few minutes before this to make it clear that that is in error, inaccurate, and he's putting out a statement to that effect.
John Kerry says he made no formal proposal, but Al Jazeera has obtained this one-page text, which looks like a carefully drafted plan, which we are told was agreed with other key players. It's called Framework for a Sustainable Ceasefire in Gaza. Hamas has always said any deal must involve the lifting of the siege of Gaza. The document goes some way to address this. There'll be discussion on these key issues: the opening of border posts, the economic livelihood of people in Gaza, fishing rights up to 12 nautical miles off the coast, and the transfer of funds so government employees can be paid. The document suggests the Israeli military were required to pull out their forces during the 7-day-long ceasefire. This is likely to have been the issue that was the deal-breaker for the Israeli cabinet. Military commanders are known to want more time to destroy Hamas's tunnel network and its rocket launchers. James Bays, Al Jazeera, occupied East Jerusalem.
Well, Tom Ackerman has this update now from Washington.
This 12-hour cessation of hostilities have two important caveats attached by the Israelis. Number one, they say that they will continue to engage in their operations to neutralize the Hamas tunnels leading into Israel. That's one of their first military priorities. And secondly, they have told the population of Gaza that anyone who's been displaced from their homes will not be allowed to return. So that could significantly restrict the benefit of this kind of agreement. And moreover, that there are several risks entailed here. It could easily be broken by either side. Beyond that, we don't know exactly how much room for maneuver there is in the negotiations, in the framework that has been set out by Secretary of State Kerry. We don't know exactly how much power the parties in Paris who are meeting on Saturday, that's the United States, the European Union, several other Europeans, and most significantly Qatar and Turkey, who are the proxies for Hamas in this negotiation, just how much they can work out something that would become a sustainable ceasefire in the next few hours.
Well, earlier we spoke to Mohammed Nazar. He's a member of Hamas's political bureau. He explains what it will take for the Palestinian side to accept a full ceasefire.
We want from them to stop their aggression, and we want from them to raise the illegal blockade on Gaza Strip. There is an American saying, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me." So we have many experiences with Israelis and Americans. We have no guarantee from them that if we will stop our resistance, they will raise a blockade in Gaza. And this is the right of Palestinians. We are human beings. Our Gazan people, they want to live safely. They want to feel that they are a human being. They can go outside of Gaza and they can come to Gaza Strip. So this is they want from the international community. So raising blockade is the main demand of Hamas.
Well, Hilik Bar is Secretary General of the Israel Labour Party and Deputy Speaker of the Knesset. He says Israel was right to start its military campaign against Gaza.
Israel is going again and again to this loop with Hamas, believe that Hamas will go other way, believe that Hamas will be able to govern Gaza after Israel went out unilaterally from Gaza, turned apart people from their homes. And Hamas proved that from time to time he's making more weapons, more missiles, became more evil, and playing his role as a terror organization. And to hear him thinks that they're human beings, and they are, of course, that they want a decent life in Gaza, and we are the party who use aggression and power, this is really a joke and the biggest hypocrisy I ever heard, because we went out from Gaza unilaterally in order to give them a way to build a state in Gaza. But even for us in the left, enough is enough. We don't believe Hamas. And we're afraid that John Kerry is a bit naive. He has good will. He has good intention. But he believes Hamas, and we have a lot of bad experience with Hamas, and we cannot tolerate it anymore, since Israelis deserve to see blue sky free of rockets.
The World Health Organization is calling for humanitarian corridors to be open to assist the wounded and get life-saving medicines into Gaza. Hospitals have been damaged by Israeli shells, and doctors are working against the odds to save lives. Nicole Johnston reports from Deir el-Balah in Gaza.
This little girl has just been born. While she was still in her mother's womb, she survived an Israeli airstrike. But her mother, Shema Kanan, didn't. She died from her injuries. The doctors carried out an emergency cesarean section and saved the baby.
I think what's happened is a miracle, because the mother is dead about 10 minutes. As known, if the mother is dying or is dead for long the time, more than 5 minutes, usually the babies are dying.
The doctors say that this little girl is still in a very critical condition, but if she can get through one day, her chances of surviving should be much better. The two-story house was struck in the middle of the night. There were 4 families in it and 5 children. Everyone was injured. The family has a new baby. It should be a time of celebration, but it's war and they're grieving. They say Israel gave no warning before it destroyed the house.
In my cousin's case, they hit the 2 missiles in a few seconds. So they didn't have any time to run away.
Maha Sheikh Ali was in the house when the attack happened.
The baby is a gift. She's the first granddaughter. Neither Shama or we will live in peace while the Israeli invasion is there.
Despite all the grief, the family has now given her a name. Shema, the same as her mother. Nicole Johnston, Al Jazeera, Deir el-Balah.
2 more Israeli soldiers have been killed in Gaza overnight, taking the Israeli death toll to 40 since the offensive began on July 8th. This was the scene in Tel Aviv on Friday. 3 Israeli civilians have been killed by rocket and mortar attacks from Gaza. And Tel Aviv's largest airport was briefly evacuated after Hamas said it fired 3 rockets. They were reportedly intercepted by Israel's air defense system. Now, the leader of the Lebanese group Hezbollah says it's suicidal for Israel to continue the fighting. Rula Amin reports now from Beirut on Hassan Nasrallah's public message of support for the people of Gaza.
On the day dedicated to Jerusalem by Iran's late Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini, Hassan Nasrallah chose to speak. He usually addresses the crowds via a satellite link for security reasons, but not this time. He appeared in person to emphasize his message for the people in Gaza.
We in Hezbollah are closely watching all the developments on the battlefield and the political arena. And from here we say to our brothers in Gaza, we are with you, by your side. We have confidence in your defiance and your victory. And we will do all what we see necessary as a duty towards you at all levels.
But what kind of support can and will Hezbollah offer? And can it afford or want to start another war with Israel to alleviate the pressure on Gaza? Some bet no, since hundreds of Hezbollah men are already engaged in another conflict, fighting alongside Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's forces.
Some Lebanese are concerned. They don't want to see their country dragged into another war with Israel. Even amongst Hassan Nasrallah's own constituency, some have issues. Why would Hezbollah fight to support the Palestinian group Hamas, perceived as having betrayed Hezbollah and the Syrian regime, when it allied itself with the Syrian opposition's Muslim Brotherhood?
Sunni Shia strife in the Arab world had added to the tensions with Hamas. But on this day, Nasrallah was clear when he urged his supporters that all differences should be put aside. When it comes to the fight in Palestine and Gaza, there can't be second thoughts or doubts. Palestine is the main cause, he told them. For years, Hezbollah had played a crucial role in developing Hamas and Islamic Jihad military capabilities. Israel blames Hezbollah, Syria, and Iran for providing the Palestinian groups not only with the relatively long-range missiles, but with the military expertise and tips on how to fight Israel so efficiently despite its might.
We in Hezbollah believe we are true partners with the Palestinian resistance, brothers in struggle, pain, and hope. We share the same faith.
For now, Hezbollah is only watching. Rula Amin, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
Still to come on the program, no survivors in Mali after an Algerian airliner crashes. Distraught family members demand an explanation. And who's trying to grow fresh air in India? That's all ahead.